Does that mean you've got sound now? Can you let me know, ladies? I've just unplugged the microphone. No, still no sound. Oh, you've got sound now. Okay, great. Let's carry on. Okay, so you missed the whole emboss resist thing. Sorry about that. I only just saw your message. Okay, so... Oh, you've got sound now. Okay, great. Let's carry on. I'll just mute that. Right. So I think I talked you through how to do emboss resist, which is... doing the embossing first and then putting the ink over with your blending brushes, and the embossed area resists the ink and stays whatever colour you've embossed it with. And I've sponged the background then with Crumb Cake and Lost Lagoon and done my little corner, and then I discovered that my frame doesn't quite fit with the corner, so I'm probably going to cut that and try and still make this work and show off that corner. That kind of wasn't in my plan, and then I improvised and I've ended up making it harder. Anyway, that's all good. So that was my frame, and I was talking about how when you cut it out you get two at once, and then you also get the middle part, and basically these were lying on my desk, and that's how I ended up using them today. And then the question was, do I use the white? So this is the flower, part of the flower that I'm going to put down here, stamped in early espresso on white, or do I do it on, I did a little test one here, on basic beige. Which one do you think? And it's going to go on the early espresso base. I'm actually thinking maybe the white. I think for me probably the white, although I think there's merit in both. I don't know how quickly the comments come through. While I wait to see what you think, I have cut a piece of the ribbon. Now this is the ribbon that comes with the suite of products, and it's called Classic Ribbon in basic beige, and it says it's polyester. It looks to me like it's got a real nice weave to it, almost linen-like. You can sort of see the strands there, which is quite nice. So I've cut that. I've cut a piece in length, and then I've cut it through the middle at halfway. And we're going to make a bow with that. You like the beige? Okay, great. Let's do the beige. Wonderful. Right, so we're just going to stamp that in espresso. I don't know what happened to my sound there. I thought I'd done everything right. Very strange. And it's been fine for weeks, so who knows. Okay, so I thought I'd do my favourite technique. So you can just leave it like that. You actually don't need to do any more, which might look quite nice. But the other thing you can do is do what I did the other week with the Wink of Stella, and just do a little bit of grabbing the ink from the stamped image and using it to just colour it slightly. So you see it, I can pick up that ink and it just makes a lighter version of it as you brush it. So I tend to work from the bottom and brush it up because I guess I prefer it to kind of peter out at the top and just colour the bottom part of the petals, leaving a little bit of white space. So I'm not fully colouring everything. And using the Wink of Stella just gives you that little bit of shine as well. So yes, I was saying before, I've been a little bit disorganized this week and couldn't come up with an idea for this video, so hence why everything's going wrong. So you'll see how the more you sort of use it, the more it sort of peters out into a, I guess just like using a blending brush or aqua, water painter, same sort of thing. You pick up the ink and as you use it, it just sort of peters out. And I don't know if you can see on camera, but it's got this nice little shine by using the Wink of Stella. Oops, I don't think that was meant to be coloured. Anyway, get the idea. So there's our pretty flower, and then once you've finished, you can just rub the tip on some scrap paper until it goes clear, just in case there's any ink lingering there for the next time you pick it up. Okay, now I'm going to use the die and cut that out. Just move that out the way. I thought I would bring in my little mini machine because this die will fit, and I need to zoom out again. So I don't know if you've got the mini machine or used it before, but it is a great one for just using on your desk. Although with my square piece here, I'm probably going to have to trim the sides just so it will go through. So it is skinnier than the other machine, obviously, because it's a mini version. And it doesn't like its plates lined up exactly. Just find some washi. So just tape it. Oops, moved while I did that. Okay. So yeah, with the plates, they don't want to be exactly lined up, so I generally go forward a little bit with my top one. Just bring that out and show you. So that top one is just going forward of the lower one, and then it'll happily go through. So if you do find you're having trouble, you might just need to offset the plates slightly to get it to work. Okay, just pop that to one side. Now, to carefully remove the washi, it's a bit sticky, this one. Oh, it's taken a little bit of colour there. Not to worry. This card's slightly vintage, so I'm all good with that. Okay, get rid of all that. And here's our image. So, yeah, that tones really nicely with the card. And for the card I'm doing, I'm going to trim my image. So I'm going to use the 3 flowers, but side by side. So I'm just going to come in here and disconnect the bottom flower, and I'm just sort of guessing where that, sort of following the line of that flower, and then I can tidy up this one afterwards. Comes off pretty easily. And then I'm going to join them together. So I think I had it kind of through there. And is that at the back? No, that must come forward. How did I do it on the white one? Yeah, some of that will probably do towards the end. Oops. Maybe a bit like that might be good. Yeah, so sort of rejoin them back together to make more of a cluster rather than having that long flower. And then I've got my die cut pieces here. So these were lurking on my desk. Oops. And some of them need weeding a little bit. Got some bits. So I think that can go at the back, and then I've got this one. Oops, to go on top. Actually, I might just bring that. So now it's just a matter of playing with the layout until you're happy. And I wanted to throw in, see in the DSP, it's got the Cajun colour. I thought I'd just throw in a bit of that because I had that on my desk. And then I've also got these cut out of the cloud cover. So that could go even down here or something, just to make a cluster. But I'm going to put the ribbon on first. And I have to figure out this frame. So why don't I put on my first layer. And I was thinking too of doing some splattering. Where are my splattering things? Here we are. I've got cloud cover. And I would have used, oops, I've got glue. Oh no, I've got glue going everywhere. Glue explosion. I was just like, what's that on my finger? Oh my gosh, it's glue. Just suddenly, I did have it upside down. Okay, let's put the lid on. Right, so I'll just do a little bit of splattering as well, because that's really yummy, vintagey. So that was cloud cover, and then I'll do some crumb cake as well. Cool. Now we'll see if our glue's going to behave itself. It's still oozing. I'll just use it up without squeezing it. I'm wondering about maybe putting it on. I might go straight with this and I'll do the other one on an angle. It's still oozing. So this on an angle. So if I cut it across there or fold it down. Actually, yeah, we could fold it down. Oh gosh, I've got that glue everywhere. I can see it on my desk everywhere. So if I do that to sort of match the top, can I tuck that under? I would need to cut that a bit. Just don't want to cut it and then not be able to cut it in the wrong place, and then I can't go back. Once it's gone, it's gone. So I didn't do, that's going to work. We can have that on an angle. Okay, good. Oh, see, look at my glue. It's really had a conniption. Try and use it up without squeezing it anymore. Okay, so I'm going to tuck that under. And I want it on an angle. Perfect. Okay, I'm happy about that. Then the next thing to go on is the ribbon. And I'm going to just stick it with tear and tape. So I'm going to make a sort of a faux bow. So you can just get the, actually I'll put it so that's on the inside. I want to fray it a wee bit, so I'm going to go sort of like that. I want the cut edge on the inside. That's on the inside, but then it's not. So I just need to turn that piece. Right, so I've got the cut edge on the inside on both sides. And then just make the loops as big as I want. And it's going to go down here. Oh, actually I want it. Yeah, that'll be fine. Okay, let's have it on a bit of an angle, but not too much of an angle. So I don't want it sort of off the bottom too much. Okay, so that's now held in place, and I can do a wee bit of fraying. So this ribbon will hopefully... Well, it's not really starting to fray. I thought it would fray. It's a little bit. See if I can get some started. Don't want a lot, but it is proving more tricky than I thought it would be. Well, it's good that it doesn't fray, because, you know, sometimes we don't want it to fray in our projects. And I'm just going to, because I've already taped it, the frayed bits in the center here are not going to go anywhere. They're not going to come off because it's taped to the project. So I'll end up with these sort of loose pieces in a loop, which is what I wanted. Ah, behave yourself. Okay. Keep running away from me. Just fray that and leave them there. And I've got some bits coming out, so that's fine. Might just have to cut that piece a bit shorter because it's coming off the edge. And then I would just like to do a little bit more. I'm just using the tip of the scissor to encourage it. And I'm going to give it a nice angle. Okay, that will do. Next, I've got my large leaf, so that I want to sort of come up the side like that. So see if our glue's going to play nicely, glue. So if you follow me, you'll know that I don't like it to look completely stuck. I tend to put my glue near the bottom where it's going to be covered with other layers, and then have the top free. And I'm just going to work on the height here. So I want of where I want the top leaf to be, about there, rather than starting at the bottom, because that's going to be hidden by my flowers. Oops, I've abandoned my glue, but it's stopped oozing, thank goodness. Okay, now I've got this one to go on. Same thing applies. So this is cut from one of the sheets of DSP. Ah, come on, glue, stop that. It's a bit much. Okay, so I'm wanting it under the ribbon. Perhaps I should have waited and put the ribbon on after. And this one I want a little bit lower down and coming into the words a bit more. Into the center. Oh, I've got a big blob of glue there. What happened to that tissue here? There we go. Right, and then I think I'll put the flowers in next, and then I'll tuck in some other little bits. So these are going to cover where that ribbon is attached. Can't work out how I did that before. I had it sitting really nicely, and now I just can't make it do the same thing. Perhaps sort of like that. So I might just put some glue to glue it to make it into one piece so it's easier to deal with. Just attach that there. And then I think that piece will go on dimensionals. And then that makes it easier to tuck in some more elements underneath. And I'm going to use small ones so I can try and put them around the ribbon. So like one up there, one over here in the middle. That should be enough. Gosh, it was so cold this morning, and now it's very warm in here. I'm just going to open the window. I'm melting. Right. Okay, so now that I'm trying to cover that tape. Same time, right? There we go. Nice. And then I've got this little bit of Cajun, which is, I think, picks up that colour from the background there on the DSP. I don't actually think Cajun was one of the ones mentioned on the paper. I think it was something like what's that orange? Calypso Coral. But I just feel that Cajun just kind of, it's interesting how you can use different colours than what you think. It's like how I've used Lost Lagoon there. It just works, even though the paper is more sort of cloud cover. So this one, I'm just going to put it where I think before, do a dry fit. Make sure it's going to be, make sure we can slide it in somewhere. Could even go over the ribbon like that. That's quite nice. And then I've also got these blue cloud cover ones. So it's just a matter of placing them where it works to create the scene you want, really. Yeah, I quite like that over there. So let's put that one in. I've actually got another type of cloud cover leaf as well. One that's sort of taller. Now I'm not getting any glue. It's always the way. Oh, I've got this bit on my desk. Let me just drop it in. Be nice to use that up rather than wasting it. It's dried a bit. There we go. I'm just going to go under there. Yeah, it's nice to have things coming over the frame, I thought. That was the general idea. Now these taller, that might fit better over here. Although I've already got that cloud cover one. Actually, I don't think it needs that. I think I'm just going to put this one in. Did I have that under, or I think I had it over the ribbon. Only thing with that is I don't want to see the tail, so that's all good. It's hidden under there, and I'm just pressing down because that's where I put the glue under the tail part. Right. Just untwisting some of these little traily bits. They've kind of gone into a figure of 8 almost. Okay, I can play with that later. So the last thing I was going to do was put on some embellishments, and now I've got some words as well. I've got a greeting to go on there. I'm going to use "Thank you for everything" and stamp it in espresso on cloud cover cardstock. So I kind of held back on buying the cloud cover because they've had this issue with the ink pad. So I don't have an ink pad of it, and they've, oh, that's smudged. How did that happen? So they've had a reaction with the ink and the pad, the actual foam stuff, which is quite unusual. So what they're finding is the colour can shift, and because of their quality control, it's not been it's not passed the quality control process, and they tried to fix it, but they have not been successful. So we have alternatives for the ink. So the ink pad won't be released, and you can still get the marker. The marker's fine, and the ink refill is fine, and it works with the little Stampin' Spot, which is this similar to this. You get them with you can get them uninked, and you get 5 in a packet. So it will work fine with that. It's just the actual, must be a different material that they use on these than they use on the ink pads, the big ink pads. So now that we know that, I can go ahead and, you know, get that sorted. But in the meantime, I only had the marker was the only ink I have in the cloud cover. So that also directed how I could make, you know, my projects. So that one's going to go on dimensional. Put those little ones here. So often I put the dimensionals on the project. If I put it, I mean, I can just aim for the bottom, obviously, of this, but I just want it to be clear of the flowers. If I had it half on the flower and half on, you know, one on the flower and one off the flower, then it's all going to be on an angle. And now that little leafy part is bugging me, so I'm just going to give that a trim. That little edge is sticking out right where I want my words to go. It's going to be covered anyway. So I'm trying to make that straight with the bottom rather than straight with the frame. This frame. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now I've got somewhere the, oh, there they are. Covered up. These are, now I could use so the ones that come with the suite have got little flower embellishments. They're called pressed flower motifs, and I sort of fancied not using those, but now I'm looking at it, I think I will. I was going to use the textured dots, but either would work. So if you've got this one, use that. If you've got these, you can use that one. And then I'm just going to put 3 of them on. So where are we going to put them? Let's start with a little one down here. So we want to draw the eye down to the words. Oops. And we want probably to draw more around the floral image. What is happening with this? Perhaps I'll use them to help keep these things tamed. Perhaps if I put, oh, I could actually put it over it. Put it there. And then put a small one over here. And then hopefully that will keep them where I put them. Haha! How's that? But basically you can put them wherever you like, just so long as they are pleasing to the eye. So I generally find I put them in a triangle. Okay, now for the inside, I haven't actually organised that yet. Get rid of some of these bits. So I'm going to go ahead and cut a white inner. Oh, found one. Oh, it's almost the right size. Okay, and then I thought I could use, and it's interesting that we did that on the beige in the end, I thought I would show you how to, so in the set, the motifs dies, this one, you've got a few dies here that only partially cut, and I think I showed you last week one of these ones here, and it just partially cut, and we used it in the middle of our frame. But today I've got this one that was on my desk that I was using for something, and I thought I would just show you how to detach that and use it so you don't have to use it always as this partially die cut. So you can just make your own lines, I guess, and just actually cut it out. So if I went up there, it's just figuring out where to cut it. Across there. And then I'd just go up to the stem again. Or we might just lose that leaf, we'll have to see. It might be easier on those other. Oh, now that one, if I detach all of that, I'm going to lose it. So let's just stick with that large leaf. It's just a matter of making decisions on each one when you get to it as to what you do. Just cut there and cut up here, and again I'm going to lose that top one, so we'll just leave that. It's quite clever the way they do this. Oh yes, I'll be able to keep that. I'll just cut there. And cut down. And if I go across, I can keep that leaf. Come down to the next one. This time I'll go in this direction so I can see where I'm heading. Oh, these scissors have lost their sharpness right at the point. Okay, and then I go around this leaf and disconnect this one. This is where I need, here's one I prepared earlier, but I haven't. It does take a little bit of time. This is the first time I've done it, so actually if I get rid of some of that stuff, it might make it a bit easier. So here we might be able to keep that if we just come down. That. So that's detached, and then just detach that bit. I've got a little one. Okay, and then down to this big leaf. It's good to have different options for things, I find. You never know when it'll come in handy. So this one needs to go down there. It's amazing how they found these little places just to keep it connected. Okay, excuse me. Then you can just survey it and decide. So I've kind of got this big bit in here for these two little leaves. I'm just wondering if I create a stem back to the main stem so that I can remove a bit of that bulk. So if we just came down like that, I could cut this bit out. Without actually losing those leaves. And then perhaps just thin that stem out a bit. quite pleased with that. And then you can do a few different things with that. So you could use it as a stencil, and if we held that nicely there, you could sponge it and then take it away, and you'd be left with that leaf impression, which you could also do from this bit before we'd cut it. If I just if I'd left it as one piece, you could also use that as a stencil. Might be a little bit more fiddly and a bit delicate, but I think I'm just going to stick this on here on my inside excuse me, as my feature for the inner. So I probably do need a bit more glue than I would do on the outside, because this is going to be stuck right down. And you could decide just to use the top bit if you wanted to, if you didn't want to use the whole thing. I'm going to angle it slightly, or should I just put it on this side? No, I like it on that side. And I can have it overhang a little bit because it'll still fit inside the card. If I just overhang that, those couple of leaves like that, and then just pop it in there, and they're just overhanging slightly onto the early espresso base, which is nice. Yeah, quite pleased with that. Happy little card. Thank you for everything. Yeah, and my embossed resist background, which looks really cool with the leaves and flowers in front of it. Yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed today's project, and if you're on my mailing list, I'll be sending out the measurements and instructions. And if you're not on my mailing list, then you can hop on there quickly. I tend to send it out probably tomorrow. So if you've discovered my video and want the instructions for this card, then feel free to subscribe. And I'll see you again next week. Thanks for joining.